Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin' money. Talkin' money.
More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
Howdy.
Good morning.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy.
Hello, hello, hello.
Last couple days of the prolonged holiday weekend. I was getting my hair cut yesterday, and Val, who cuts my hair, still had Christmas music on. I turned around and said, turn that crap off.
You're early.
So you're either early or late. And for those of you who feel like it's okay to leave your Christmas lights on all year long, I'm telling you right now, on behalf of your neighbors, it is not okay.
Time to come down.
Leave your lights on. It is now. This is the official last weekend. If you go beyond...
That's right. By Sunday, they're going to be down.
Yep. I came home last night, and my girls were like, the lights aren't on. I go, oh, they're still on the fence, but I unplugged them. And they're coming down, although the tree is still standing up. I got to get that. This is the weekend. You got
to get it done.
It's socially unacceptable.
70 degrees outside. It's not Christmas anymore.
It's ridiculously warm, and we'll talk about that as well. We start every show the same way, with a tremendous social risk. How you doing, Mr. Socially Unacceptable?
Doing good.
Now, hold on a second. I got to see the Red Sox hat. What's your shirt? Oh, must be a soccer shirt because I don't recognize that.
Manchester City.
Okay, but it doesn't say Manchester City. It says Etihad.
Etihad Airways.
Oh, okay.
See, that's what there's been talk about basketball getting sponsors. I don't think it's that bad since soccer's had it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, what the heck? We could say Kings on the shoulder, and we could say Etihad or Southwest or something on the shoe. What the heck?
Probably
Jeff Tarbell.
Tipco, which is what Vivek Ranadive owns.
Yeah.
This company.
Either way. What's happening in your world?
Everyone's excited for NFL playoff football starting
Yes.
tonight, and then everyone's talking about the weather in Green Bay, which is pretty insane. They're talking about maybe possibly negative 20 degrees, and I don't really feel bad for the players. People are like, oh, this is going to change the game drastically. Well, it's going to suck for both teams.
Yeah, it is.
But to be a fan out there, it's just absolutely insane, and it's kind of dangerous, which people really haven't been talking about. And this is something with a simple fix, because the really cold days for Cincinnati, because Cincinnati is going to be really cold too, are tomorrow. So it's Cincinnati and Green Bay. If you had them today, which there's already Saturday football, you're talking about mid-20s getting down to the lower temperatures, but not negative 20, negative 5. So if you just flip the games tomorrow, then I think that pretty much fixes everything. But the NFL doesn't care. All they care about are TV ratings. Who cares about all those people in the stands?
Well, if they cared about TV ratings, then they wouldn't have had the threat of blackout because you had to buy a certain number of tickets. I know there's a home advantage. Home field advantage is what you fight for. But if I'm one of the Green Bay Packers, I'd raise my hand and say, I'm going to San Francisco. We'll be
They got a stadium out there, don't they?
We'll be the visiting team. It's going to be like 70 degrees out there. I'm cool with that. I won't get any immediate skin frost burn if we move the game. So, and John was saying that the other game is who? New Orleans or
the Eagles Saints game.
Yeah, we'll play inside.
Let's go play in the Dome.
Well, actually, that's in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
right.
I know. So they should be moving those all to
go play in the Dome now.
To the warmer climate. But that ruins the home field advantage. Hopefully the games are good. But your skin will actually die at about 15 seconds at minus 25. So. Keep on
Wall Street Journal corporate news headline: Football fans forgo tickets, prefer view from the couch.
Well, I mean, it's like, but here's the problem: is it's like if they don't sell enough tickets, you can't view it from the couch.
That's true.
So you almost have to go buy your ticket and just stay home and watch it, just to guarantee that you can see the game.
I'll tell you how big of a wuss I am.
Yeah.
I went to the Notre Dame Stanford game, and I think the low was like 43, and I'm like, I'm ready to go.
I'm out of here. I'm out of here. We were down at along the Santa Cruz area for a couple days this week, and it was nicer than it is in the summer. The summer it gets the heat draws all that fog in, and it's kind of cold and nasty down there. And I think, why don't I live down here? Allergies weren't bugging me. It was pretty nice. So this is the You got 48 hours, basically, to wrap it up. It's time to get back to work, peoples. Coming back last night, coming east on 80, there was a tremendous amount of traffic coming out of the Tahoe area. So probably everybody's headed back toward wrapping it up and getting back to work. I always say that really, things don't officially return back to normal until after the Super Bowl. Everybody seems to find a reason to screw around as long as they can. So today, John and I got I think we're going to cover a couple things that we've been carrying around in our bag for, I don't know, what has it been, 4 months maybe? We'll talk a little bit about credit today and what we understand about how credit works, because credit and credit scoring is a mystery. It's meant to be a mystery. Nobody will tell you for certain how it works, because they don't want you to know how to game the system. But there are some things that we think can be learned from how credit works, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well, because it is kind of a screwy thing. You think I did this and this and this, and my score actually went down. How did that happen? So we'll talk about some of those things too, and I'm sure a number of you probably have boosted your credit, or maybe boosted your outstanding credit a little bit and degraded your credit score over the holidays. I know that certainly we did. But it's time to get back to repairing that. And, of course, the number one topic right now in our area, and quite frankly on the entire West Coast, is water. I got I think I mentioned last week that someone had sent me a little, not little, but it's probably, 6 or 7 pages on investing in water, which sounds kind of weird, right? But so we'll talk about that a little bit today too. You can get some ideas of where the demand is. And some of these articles, you start looking around and saying, I've got kids that'll be in college in the next few years, and next couple of years. You start looking around. What do I want to be when I grow up? And some of these I'm looking at some of these topics and going, man, talk about growth fields, about if you wanted to be in, look at where jobs will be or where money will flow to in the future. We'll talk about some of those today too. If you were born in 1964, this is going to be your 50th birthday year, somewhere along the line between Wednesday and 365 days later. You are the last. I didn't know this. You are the last of the baby boomers.
Huh?
1964 is the last year. So 1946 was the beginning of the baby boom. For example, that would give you Bill Clinton would be that year, Diane Keaton, Bob Schiller, who's the Case-Shiller Index, President Bush, George W. Bush. Those are people born in 64. And then the end of it, excuse me, that was 46. The end of it, 1964, Michelle Obama, Melinda Gates, Sandra Bullock, Jeff Bezos from Amazon. Those are the end. So those are your windows. I don't know. I was born in 66. So I don't know. I was asking my wife today, is that the echo boomer, or is that just
what
idiots?
are you called?
just slow to the party is what they call us. We were just a touch outside, so I don't know what they call us. I know what they call me, but can't use that on radio. So if you were, there are 12,500 Americans turning 50 every single day. That's a lot of people.
Wow.
9.2 million veterans that are 65 and older. And this is all going toward what they call the senior migration. This is an interesting chart. So where do you think real estate values will go up and go down, or where will there be demand? And look at this, John. So I'm just going to hold it because it's easy to see. So the blue circles are people leaving, and the orange circles are people coming. So how would you generally describe that map? Just as they're all kind of
all coming south,
all sinking to the bottom, aren't they?
All coming south.
In fact, if you just took the United States and kind of folded it in half, like Kansas is on the upper side, just kind of folded it over. The upper half is all leaving, particularly on the East Coast, with the exception of California.
Northeast for sure.
Yeah, the Northeast leaving. All Minnesota, your Wisconsins. There aren't a lot of people in the Dakotas, but they're leaving too, and they're all migrating south. To the warmer areas, and the biggest migration, Arizona and Florida. So that's where people are heading, and in large numbers. There was a companion article, or I should say a companion topic. Population growth slows to the lowest rate since the Great Depression. So the United States is growing at like 0.72%, or about 2.25 million people net gain. That means people either that were born, so that's net of death, I believe, born or migrated to the United States. And the average is about 1.25, and the boom time was in the 50s, was about almost 2%. So we're at 0.72. There's 128,839 people in the United States. So if the four of us don't make it out of here today, there's going to be 316,128,835 people in the United States if there's something happens in this studio. So I want to know how they got that to that point. I think that's an educated guess. But anyway, close enough. So the United States is not growing nearly as much, and here's the problem for our economy a little bit. Middle-aged and older people are moving and packing their bags, as we just saw here. The younger people, who are generally the most mobile, are not moving around, either because they can't afford to, because they're having a hard time finding a job, or mom and dad haven't kicked their butt out of the house yet, or some combination thereof. See, that wasn't a problem for me. I used to get checks not to come home. That was my fundraising plan. I used to call home and say, this isn't working. I think I'm going to have to ching FedEx on the front door. Works every time. You stay right where you are. You're doing fine. So anyway, interesting numbers coming out, but yeah. And I would have to say, you look at, we have a new office in Arizona now. You look at the Arizona market, which was incredibly overinflated, is now picking up rapidly. And I wouldn't say necessarily that the prices are necessarily taking off rapidly, but just activity.
Activity, sure.
And so there's, and they have a good supply of homes down there as well. Texas doing real well, and Florida doing real well. And of course, I believe, look up online if you will. Does Texas have a state income tax? I don't think they do. And I'll bet you that some of these states here that have the biggest net migration in are also states that are tax friendly. Oregon is one of the bigger ones. Oregon does not have a state tax. Oregon does not have a state tax. Nevada does not. Arizona, I'm not sure of. Texas, I don't believe does, and Florida certainly does not. So you may also see, not only are they migrating toward weather, but are they also migrating, as you have an aging population with higher incomes and higher net worths, are they also migrating toward tax?
Right. You have 7 states that lack income tax altogether.
Okay.
Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming.
Now, is that state sales tax or is that state income tax?
Because lack an income tax altogether.
So Texas does have one then. It wasn't on your list. Interesting.
Texas was on there.
Oh, was? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so there you go. So
Texas, South Dakota, Nevada, Florida, Alaska, Wyoming, Washington.
Okay, so Arizona then must have a tax. So some of your bigger states then are not only weather sensitive, but they're also tax sensitive. So it's interesting how people will move around. California has one of the largest net decreases in terms of population, and that will continue. There's no way, as beautiful as the weather is here, as long as we continue to anti-government and we continue to overtax the well-doers, they will leave. There's just no way around it. We could change that in a heartbeat, but we won't until it's too late.
Here's an interesting weird fact for you.
Okay.
Tennessee and New Hampshire, these states tax only dividend and interest income.
Interesting. Tennessee
and New Hampshire.
So let me see if they're on the list. Okay, so Tennessee has a net positive gain. Where's New Hampshire? Up in the right hand somewhere? New Hampshire, believe it or not, has a little negative, orange dot on it, so it's got a positive gain also. Just a small state. So there you go. So those the tax-friendly states are picking up the people, and everything around it is is giant blue.
No doubt.
So they're either moving down to the warm, or they're getting away from the taxes. So that'll be an interesting lesson that we follow along as years go by. People that have the money and the income will find a way to hold on to it, and they'll keep shifting around if they have to. So there you go.
I'm going to Wyoming.
Well, I thought Wyoming. See, I didn't think Wyoming had a state tax either.
It doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't.
Nope.
Okay, but see, it's got a net loss on the chart. It's just cold there, but it's beautiful.
That it is.
Beautiful. And they're getting snow this week.
Yes, they are.
Getting snow this. That's where we'll talk about it when we come back. I think that you're going to start looking around and say, not only are you going to have to go where the weather is, you have to go where the water is. And if there's no water, there's no bueno. No, if you don't have any water there, so that's going to be an issue particularly for the West.
So we were talking about it before we started here. 2013 most expensive markets for average listing price.
Yeah.
Breck, where is it here? I'm sorry, I thought it was Wyoming, but actually Breckenridge because I was looking at snow there.
Oh yeah.
Number 11.
So how many California places are on your list there?
13
on the list of 25.
On the list of 25, most expensive average list price.
Wow.
Yes.
Another reason why once you get to a point where you're not actively working and making income, you just think about it. You know, if we have 13 of the highest list prices around, we can sell our houses and go buy something else in another state. I could probably sell my house here and buy. What was the average price? Was it Cleveland? Like
Cleveland,
60 grand?
63,000.
So you have a house that's a California house at $500,000. You can go back 4 or 6 of them, or 5 of them, 6 of them, and have money left over if you need 6 houses, which I don't.
If you want to live in Cleveland.
Right. If you buy the whole block. Let's take our first break of the day. Come back. I got some interesting numbers coming out on the beginning of the healthcare is starting to now settle in a little bit. The costs are shaking out. Some of the things they thought would save money are interestingly starting to have some interesting results. We're going to talk a little bit about water and investing in water, and we're also going to talk about credit. In fact, I think we'll do credit when we come back next. Some things you probably don't know about credit, and maybe you should learn, and you should always know, if you can, kind of where your score is and what's going on with your credit, because it, as we saw through the Target debacle and other things as well, it can get pilfered without you knowing it. And again, I come back to, there's like 3 main rules on this radio show from the beginning. This is now we're going to be completing 10 years. Number 1, of course, is you can marry more money in a minute than you can make in a lifetime. That's number 1. If Oprah comes in, my wife's out. Number 2 is I just am a firm believer in do not use your debit card for consumer purchases. I mean, I know that it sounds good because I don't want to charge up a bunch of credit, but you are giving some, unless you have a debit card that is separate from the rest of your account where you just kind of move little bits of money in there and you keep maybe less than $1,000 or maybe less than $500 in there. That's fine. But you're giving someone open access to all of your funds that are in that account with a debit card. There's no way around it. You're better off to establish a credit card, particularly with all the cool mileage things you get. Immediately pay it off if you can. That's awesome. But I just do not believe in debit cards. I just think it gives someone immediate access to whatever you got in there. And there's just you now have to fight to get your money back. And that's very hard to do, as opposed to a credit card when they have to fight to get money from you. If someone robs it from you, that's their problem, not yours. So spin the tables on them, if you will. Go ahead. We have some ski passes for Sierra Tahoe, and I am right now predicting fairly good snowfall next week. Write it down. Put it in the books. It's going to start snowing. And so we're going to give out some ski passes today. We're going to give out a dozen ski passes today. So particularly for those of you that are new listening to this show, or maybe you're not new listening, but you just don't have a chance to call or text us in, we invite you to do that today, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. And if you text us at 441140, please give us either your full number or give us your name and address, and that way we can either get a hold of you on the telephone or we can mail those out to you, because we don't get full phone numbers here on the text line. So 441140 is that number. Phone lines are cleared out and ready to roll. What do you got for us?
All right. So a Soviet hero passed away last week, Mikhail Kalashnikov.
Is he a dancer?
Mikhail Kalashnikov. He is not a dancer.
Skater. He's a skater.
Does he look like a dancer?
No, he looks like a vodka drinker.
He was a vodka drinker. He passed away last week. And our first quiz question is, what is he most popular for? Why was he designed something very famous?
Yeah, the most famous.
The most famous. What did he design? Mikhail Kalashnikov.
Yeah, and I don't want to give his occupation away because that'll give away what he designed. So
I'm sure somebody's going to get it.
Yeah, it's yeah.
It may help protect your debit card.
Yeah, it may help protect your debit card for sure. 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. If you do, please give us your full name and address or your phone number so we can call you back. Mikhail Kalashnikov passed away last week. He is famous and or infamous for designing this product. What is it? This is Talkin' Money. His name's John.
His name's Jeff.
We're out of here. We'll be right back.
Talkin' money.
Alrighty then, we're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing?
Wake up, smell the coffee, get rolling.
He designed alcohol vodka that won't turn your liver inside out. Oh, he was involved with the vodka, but that was just a marketing brand, wasn't it?
I believe so.
So, Mr.
Kalishnikov. He is famous for. We have a couple winners, I believe.
We have a lot of winners. That was fairly easy. I would not have got that.
But did anybody say it was the Avtomat Kalishnikova? That's what it was really designed as.
No, I think they used the initials.
AK-47.
AK-47. I thought that was Andrei Karolinko, the Utah Jazz player. So AK-47, the most popular. Isn't that what it says? Most popular rifle in history.
Yes.
Assault rifle in history.
The most popular assault rifle in history.
And so he designed that this week, or last week, and he designed that and passed away last week. So
right.
Got some winners to that. We'll send out some winners to Sierra Tahoe, who is open for business and doing some skiing. So we'll get those out this week. Anything else about him? He was involved with the vodka, but why am I thinking that? Maybe they just named the vodka AK-47 or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I know he was involved in his company's making and design all the way up through his 80s, working at his company there that manufactured them. And just a little tidbit here: in the fall of 2000, Russian President Putin announced that he had ordered an upgraded version of the AK-47 just last year. So apparently they may be working on an upgraded version.
A version 2.0 or 3.0.
I don't know that it needs it, but apparently.
Well, I mean, if you're in the military where it belongs, he probably needs an upgrade. But probably one of the most famous and infamous. I mean, and the funny thing is that anytime you see any kind of assault rifle, everybody refers to it as an AK-47, even if it's not an AK.
Not.
I mean, that's just has become synonymous with that term. So, so we get those out to you as well. I did find some interesting tidbits about some of the healthcare things that are coming out, and as I mentioned, talk about future employment and places you might want to look to work. This is a kind of a subtopic of this, but there's a study that looks at federal IT workers that are working for the federal government doing various jobs. The average age of a federal employee who's in the IT department right now is somewhere between 45 to 60 years old. 38, almost 39% of them are either 45 or 54, and you go all the way up to 60. So there's a population there that will be leaving the industry sooner than later, and maybe that's why we need to bring in some of those all the young, good IT kids are going to your Facebooks and your Twitters and everything else too. But if you're looking for a job that's not in Silicon Valley or one of the ITs, you might look at the federal government.
Well, yeah, Wall Street front page, health site failures spur push to ease tech hiring. The Obama administration is, because of the failures of the healthcare.gov rollout, they're considering loosening hiring rules for technology specialists and creating a new federal unit dedicated to big tech projects.
Wow.
That's. I was reading this like, are you kidding me?
Or why aren't we just subbing this out? We could just go.
Well, they are now.
Yeah.
But they're realizing that they might not be able to handle it.
Yeah. Okay. I did see this estimated cost of. So check this out. Where's Chris at? Chris, have you tried out your Obamacare yet? There, Chris, have you gone to the doc?
Yet.
Not yet. You're a picture of health, so I don't see you going in there anytime soon. But Chris, how much do you think it has cost? How much has it cost the federal taxpayer, including yourself, per individual? Do you think the total cost for Obamacare? So how much will it have cost to get you health care? And by the way, is your health care free? Are you getting walk in whenever you want, or you have to pay a premium?
It is $80 a month.
$80 a month. Okay, so it's not free. So you want to take a guess on the cost per sign-up individual? Now, this is, and by the way, I say per sign-up. Chris has actually sent a check in, right? You've actually paid some money.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is per sign-up. There's about 3 million sign-ups, people that have registered on the site. A number of which who have not sent in their premium. They've just signed up for an option. So I'm giving them credit that they're going to do that. So 3 million people on the site. That includes the state and the Fed. The states have been a little bit more successful than the Fed. So how much does it cost us, Chris, to get you on that system? 'Cause I'm going to ask if you'd rather have the cash.
What do you mean by how much does it cost?
They've taken the total cost of implementing the plan plus the expense of taxes and what they lump together as being the cost of universal health care. And they divide it out by the number of people that have signed up for it. Do you want to take a guess how much what the cost for your sign up has cost us?
$1,000.
Keep going.
Yeah, the average cost right now, I just did simple math. They estimate that the total cost to the public, and that could be either through taxes or through expenditures, is about $1 trillion. $1 trillion is 12 zeros. And there are 3 million signups. That's 6 zeros. So just drop all the zeros. You now have $1 million for every 3 people, or $333,000 per individual signed up in the plan right now. Of course, that'll go up. I mean, you'll get more people that will trickle in, but some of them also won't pay, so some will fall out. I'm just going by what the estimated cost versus sign up. So, Chris, I give you now door number 1 or door number 2. I give you your health care plan at $80 a month, or I give you $333,000. Which would you opt for?
I would take the $330,000.
Okay.
As long as I don't go to the hospital where something happens and then I have to pay $1 million.
Well, you'll have to pay a $333,000. You could take your $333,000 and go buy private insurance if you'd like. But yeah, that is that's not good. That's not good. It will probably change. Maybe the trillion is overestimated and maybe the 3 million is underestimated. But it's a lot of money for a lot of chaos for potentially 3 million people, or as we mentioned earlier, there's 316 million people in this country, about 1%. We've disrupted the entire go-around for 1%. But I digress, because we're going to see the benefits now of increased savings in this healthcare system, because one of the stated goals was that people will no longer rush into the emergency room and use the ERs for last-minute type of service. Dope! That didn't work. The state of Oregon has just completed their healthcare study. The state of Oregon did something a little earlier. In 2008, they randomly selected, they had a 2008 lottery to give Medicaid coverage to people who entered the lottery. They gave some of them insurance and some of them not. Kind of did like a little lottery in 2008. And the plan was, we'll give you insurance so you can get a regular doctor and do regular things. And they have found that, this is in Oregon, those who gained coverage made 40% more visits to the emergency room than those who did not have coverage. So, that's not
It makes sense. Now I have coverage. Now I can go.
Putting greater pressure on emergency rooms and increased cost. So now, instead of going to your doctor in advance, which they hoped you would do, or make an appointment, they still just go to the emergency room because they know they're covered. So they'll just go there. So that's backfiring a little bit, at least in Oregon. Oregon's about 5 years ahead of this, just in trying this out. But interesting. I would not have guessed that. I would have guessed, hey, I mean, maybe that's just, well, it even said across all income levels and across all strata. So it's not like there was one class of people that were using that. So it's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. I'd have thought, okay, I got insurance. I'll just call my doctor and go see him on Thursday. But maybe they figure I'll just wait till I'm really sick and I'll just show up at the emergency room, which is not going to relieve pressure in the emergency rooms nor save costs. But that was one of the big cost savings we were going to get.
Oops.
Yeah. Anyway, I see things going a different direction. We'll talk about that some more too. But Chris got coverage, and that's all that matters in this building.
That's right.
So here we go. How's your credit doing? Have you looked at your credit lately? Do you know what your credit score? Can you tell me right now, within 5 points, roughly what your credit score is?
Yes.
I would say I could tell you. Yeah, I could probably tell you within 5 to 10 points what it is. Can you tell me if your credit is good and what is good credit? And can you tell me how you can improve that score? That's the hard part, right? So I'm looking at the clock here, and probably think we want to take one more break because I want to cover this without interruption. So let's do that. When we come back, we're going to get into what John and I think are some of the key facts about credit and why certain things happen when you do things to your credit, and why it's so critically important that you understand it, and and more in particular going forward in this year. And when it comes to house financing, never will it become more important it'll be more obvious this year, I guess I should say, than ever before, because the stratosphere between a 620 and a 640 and a 640 and a 660 to 660 to 680 and on up will become so painfully obvious to you because the pricing will be so stratified and so granular right down to your score that you will, in fact, now not be lumped in with everybody under 700. You'll be lumped in with everybody under 639 to 635, if that's where you are. And you will pay for that. And you'll pay a lot.
Be expensive. For
that if you don't get that score improved. So we are going to help you figure out a way to get that improved, because now there will be a tremendous benefit to you for doing it. And it takes a little bit of time, and the time is always, do it ahead of time before finding a house. So we'll cover that when we come back, I promise. I've been carrying this around for months. But we want to get in one more quiz question. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. And, yes, you can text us at 44-1140. Again, please make sure you give us either your full phone number or your name and address so we can, if you're one of the winners, we can pick you out of the lineup.
Yes, so we have a big football weekend here, and obviously the Super Bowl is around the corner as all the companies stir to put in their Super Bowl ads. Our second question of the day is, let's see here, big spenders regarding Super Bowl advertising.
They didn't take my ad, by the way. I submitted an ad and a check for $100.
Was it that Jeff Tarbell is king?
It's king, yeah. And that one, for some reason, my $100 check didn't go through.
It didn't go through.
No.
So from 2003 to 2012, we have 5 top big spenders, and I'll give you the first one.
That's the easy one.
Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
Spent $248 million. That's
a lot of beer.
It's a lot of beer.
Yeah.
Name one of the top 5, not including Anheuser-Busch, top big spenders for Super Bowl advertising.
From, you said from 03?
2003 to 2012.
Oh, a 9-year window. Yeah. And how much did Bud spend? $250 million, roughly?
$250 million.
It's about $25 million a year. That's just on the Super Bowl.
That's just Super Bowl.
That's not their total marketing budget. That's just on the Super Bowl spots. Interesting. $25 million a year. Wow. Well, they have a worldwide product so that they can get their money back. It wouldn't be as easy for me to recoup $25 million in spending here. I don't have. It'd be $24,999 short.
Just a wee short.
It's just a bit outside. Again, I'll resubmit my $100 check just in case they didn't get it in the mail. So you got a name basically number 2 through 5.
That's correct.
Wow, the phones are already lit up. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. The nice thing about selling beer, did you see on the news they had to warm up the beer taps at Lambeau Field because they would just
ice up.
Yeah, they would just freeze. You can't get a beer out of there. So I'm not sure.
I'm thinking the whiskey sales are probably higher.
I'm thinking Fireball.
Fireball,
because you cannot freeze that. You actually just put the Fireball in the chair next to you. That'd be perfect.
Put it down in the snow.
And do you want a cold beer when it's like minus 25 below? I mean, your lip would stick to the jar. 339-1140. Text us at 44-1140. I am not John Farrero.
I am not Jeff Tarbell.
We'll be right back. Jack.
Talkin' money.
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
Right. We got a lot of potential winners, some people who don't listen, which is normal, and some who didn't give us their address. So what was, other than Budweiser, so if you answered Budweiser on the phone or text, that was the answer we gave you, so that would have been a fairly easy one. That one doesn't count. What else do you have other than Budweiser? Now, these are your top 5 spenders on the Super Bowl only the last 9 years?
9 years.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
So
we
Budweiser
gave you
was
Anheuser. Right.
Okay.
Pepsi.
Okay.
Coca-Cola.
Okay.
GM. And Walt Disney.
Wow. Disney was in.
Disney was not one I was aware of.
No, Pepsi and GM. Pepsi and Coke. I would have guessed because they have to stay together there. General Motors. I would have probably was heavier in the earlier years than it was in the later years, but nonetheless, they spent quite a bit of money. So we did get quite a few winners off the text line there. So if you texted me from the 916 to 380 number, you have to text me your full phone number or your name and address because you also won. We had 5 winners. We'll take a few more off there. So give us that information, and we will. I'll tell you what, I've got a couple 3 pair of tickets left. If you have not pair, thank you. I pass. I was going to say a ski pass. If in all of 2013 you did not win anything on this show, and you would like a ski pass to Sierra Tahoe, I have 3 passes that I will give out for that. So we've got the list here for the full year. We are fully organized here. You've given away 5? That's okay. Okay, well then we'll do 5. How about that? So you're driving around today, head back to home or to work, or you're out running around and you did not win anything in all of 2013. You want a ski pass to Sierra Tahoe? We'll hold out 5 more passes for those people and give those out here during the last segment of the show today. John and I have been carrying around our notes about credit for quite a while. And let me explain to you that this is what we're going to give you here is people's best educated guesses and research on how they think credit scores and FICO and those kind of things work. There is no published document that says this is the fact, this is how it works, because they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know the models. It's kind of like how Google's system works. They don't want you to know how to get on the top of the rankings, and they change it. And it can change, and it probably does change and will change. So, but these are things that people have studied and are willing to pass along, and things that we've garnered over the years. And neither one of us consider ourselves credit experts. If you have credit repairs you need to have done and work you need to have done, you need to find a credit repair specialist. I always like to say find one locally if you can. There's some good ones around town. We use in Roseville, Blue Water Credit is a good company that does a lot of that. And again, just because you sign up for their services doesn't mean you're going to get the desired results. They're doing the best things that they can. They know that seem to work. One thing that I always caution people of that will get your score, it can get your score improved immediately, which doesn't help you when it comes to financing, is disputing accounts. So John has a credit card that he was late on, and he knows damn well he was late, or legitimately it was lost or was stolen. Something else goes on, and boom, I pull up John's credit and I go, hey dude, you got a rolling 30-day late. You got 90 days worth of lates in the last quarter. Yeah, I can't find my card, or my daughter was using it. I thought she made the payment. Whatever. So John sends in a dispute to,
or that can't be right.
Yeah, or it legitimately is not right. So John sends in a dispute to the MasterCard company, Citibank, or whoever, and says, "Hey, I'm disputing this account. We're going to work on it together to get this resolved." So immediately, that account, which is now reporting poorly, is kind of pulled off to the side, and it just kind of sits over here, and it's not corrected.
Goes in ghost mode.
Yeah, it's not corrected, but all of a sudden, it's not put into John's score. So if John did that, a month ago, and then he comes in and says, "Hey, Jeff, I'm looking for a loan." And let's say he's right on the border, like, 640 credit score, not really, got a couple of things going on there he hasn't been able to get rid of. And now we got these, issue, or generally there's a couple of them that are sitting off to the side here, and we look at it, and if you're not paying attention that those things are in dispute, we look at it and say, oh, okay, your credit score is acceptable, we can make this go on. And the next thing you know, the underwriter looks and says, "Hey, Jeff, you dummy, did you notice there was 3 accounts in dispute?" And all that really means is that they're not being scored. They're not being included in the score. Well, lenders caught on to that a few years ago and said, "Hey, wait a minute, you're going to have to pull these out of dispute, Mr. John, and whether you get it resolved or whatever, but they have to be removed from dispute, and they have to be included in your score. They'll be rescored." Now, if they were good accounts, they maybe pull his score up. If they were late and they're legitimately late and they can't be fixed, they may pull his score down. And next thing you know, you started off thinking, I'm going to be able to get a house or a car or whatever, and your score drops because now they're fully looking at your total report. And the reason I mention that is because with some less than reputable companies, that's the first thing that they'll try to do to say, well, we'll get your score up. We'll just put all these things in dispute. Well, your score temporarily came up because we're not really looking at the full picture anymore. And now, but you try to get some financing, and all of a sudden, boom, you can't get it because you're not being legitimately scored. So keep aware of that. That's a trick. that's a trick to you. Makes it look like
Right.
your score is better, but it hasn't really fixed anything.
Yeah.
So
Remember, too, when you see your credit scores, if you pull it by yourself, you pull it for a credit card, you pull it for a car, pull it for a mortgage, you're going to have different scores because there's different criteria.
Correct. Different bureaus and different things being on. So we're talking about really about FICO scoring, and this is what you're told. Let me start with it. This is kind of how people are shown a pie chart, and this is kind of how the consumer is given the information. Okay, Christopher Laud, we're going to look at your score today, and we're going to look at a couple things. Your payment history, that's going to be a big chunk of it. The amounts you owe, the outstanding balances, that's a equally big chunk. And then we'll look at other things of types of credit, how long you've had credit, and how much new credit you have. That's kind of the pie chart. And so Chris is, okay, that's easy to understand. And that is easy to understand, except for it's not as easy, I don't think, as having simple pie pieces of, okay, well, I've got my payment history is a third of the score. And it's really more a blend of all those. And I like to use, there's a couple things. I like to use a couple analogies. One of them is kind of a grading on a curve. And that is, or maybe an easier one, where this is a sports station. Maybe an easier one is this. Chris is a new borrower. He's got new credit. He's got some spotty credit. He's kind of, he's kind of like a T-ball baseball player. Okay? So Chris is going to be initially judged amongst his peers of T-ball players and their credit. So his score, range will be from, 500 to 600, let's say, because in the T-ball world, you just can't get better than 600. You just don't have enough credit to be able to get the high credit score. But Chris is the best in his T-ball class, so he's right at 600. And the next level up is junior high baseball, and then there's high school baseball, and then there's college, and then there's the pros. So if you kind of think about how you work your way through these different levels, and that it develops as your credit gets better, as your history gets longer, as your credit improves. And the part that shocks most people, I think, is that when you do something like I paid off these accounts and I improved these things and I did all this stuff, and my score went down. How on earth could I have gone from a 640 to a 618 when I did things that were better for my credit? And as I understand it, you by improving your credit and doing some certain things, or you jump ship, you jump to a better team, but now you're the worst on the better team. So does that make sense? So you were over here, and the best you could have ever been was a 600, and you finally graduated to the next team level up, and the best there is 660, but you're kind of the worst of that group for the moment. So your score actually went down, because now you're being judged against a different set of peers. You're being judged against better talent. This is going to take you a while to build up there, but then you'll be able to get beyond 600 because the cap of this one is 660. And you work your way through there and you jump over to the next level of peer group. And your score may still hold the same, but now you have the ability to go up to 700. So you're kind of working your way up. Some people call it a tree. Some people call it a peer group. Some people call it a grading on the curve. But you're kind of washing your way up the ladder, if you will, and now you're being judged by better and better people. Credit people and credit worthiness. So you have a potential for a higher score, but you got to be able to compete with those people, just like playing pro ball. John and I went out there and tried to hit a fastball with a pitcher. We'd look like idiots. Like we probably wouldn't even stand in the box. We'd be afraid to get hit. So does that make some sense? Yeah, your peer group moves as your credit improves, and you're going to move with them. And so you can actually do things that are right and have your score dip down temporarily because you're climbing to another rung. You're able to climb a higher ladder. And so you start looking at things that can affect your credit score, and you always hear these hard credit pulls versus soft credit pulls. A hard credit pull is when you are applying for credit, and there are different types of credit that can benefit you and hurt you. For example, consumer finance credit, consumer finance type of they're generally, I would call them almost like a hard money type of a loan. You get you'll get like beneficial mortgage, or beneficial used to be one that was locally here, and different consumer finance credits where they're not really higher rates. They look at those differently than they do a 30-year fixed Fannie Mae mortgage. There's different types of credit. Those can affect you. Letting people pull your credit as you're applying for credit can affect you. Having your creditors, if they're looking at your account over the different months, what they call a soft pull, will not. So different things will go in there. But here's the part that astonishes most people. The higher you are, the better credit you are, the farther you can fall and the faster you can fall. So if John's a 780 credit score and I'm a 680, and we both have a bankruptcy tomorrow, boom. John may drop 100, 140 points. I'll probably drop 200 to 250 points. Okay? Because in my peer group...
Oh, you remember 7th and 8th grade. Everything's graded on a curve.
That's right. In my peer group, because I was at the 780 score, I was in the higher peer group. My peer group, bankruptcy is not acceptable. So the penalty is much, much worse for that credit score. In John's peer group of 680, there's more people that had bankruptcies in there, so it's lesser of a hit. We both are going to get hit. So there are things to work on, things to think about. And I can tell you that this year going forward, the pricing mechanism for home mortgages is going to be right down to a gnat's rear end. I mean, in terms of what score. There can be a difference in cost and rate for 1 point, a 639 versus a 640, or 649 versus a 650. It can be that critical. And you may not be able to get it resolved in a 30-day escrow window. In fact, I'll bet you cannot get it resolved in a 30-day escrow window. So if you're thinking about buying something anytime in 2014, whether it's a new vehicle or particularly a home mortgage, refinance or purchase, get someone to look with you at your credit now, amongst every other thing you got to do. But getting yourself up 20, 30, 40 points can save you a quarter, a half, a percent over the life of your loan. Enormous amounts of money. Enormous amounts of money.
Really going to see it effect this year for sure.
That was a serious shotgun approach to credit, but hopefully it gives you a little indication kind of where you are and where credit is in relation to you and your peer group and where you're in. And peer group meaning credit peer group. So if you want for more information on that, please, during the week, you're welcome to give us a call. We can direct you to someone that can help you fix your credit if you'd like. You can find John during the week at johnfod.com or jefftarbell.com. That is it. I'll carry my water explanations, my water investing over to next week.
We may go check out the lake this week.
Yeah, I'm going to go out there and see if we
Give you a
can
report.
find the city or what's left of the lake or the pond. We better bring this with us so we can fill it back up. That's it. Well, you can find this show or the repeat of that information on the Talkin' Money Facebook page. We'll see you next week, everybody. Aloha.
Talkin' Money.